So you've clicked on this video because you want some great tips on informational interviewing. I've got some tips that will help you make a wonderful impression, that will help turn the person that you're sitting in front of into an advocate or a professional friend, and possibly somebody who'll look out for jobs for you, who'll pass your CV along, who'll make recommendations or refer you to other jobs. Because this is ultimately what you want to get from this meeting. However, you need to set this informational interview up in the right way and create the right impression. My name's Karalyn Brown. I'm the founder of Career Care Package and the founder of the Straight to Shortlist Challenge. Now, these informational interview tips come direct from my Straight to Shortlist Challenge, and they've been road tested time and time again to help my clients nail the informational interviews and turn those informational interviews into something else. Now, I've also recorded a video on the questions that you need to ask in informational interviews and the specific order that you need to ask them to turn this meeting from an informational interview into possibly a referral, a recommendation, a lead, or somebody asking for your CV. So I'll link to that in the description below. So here are 5 big tips that will help you make the most of this meeting. So tip number 1 is all about making a great first impression. People make very quick judgments. So unlike this person, you want to create a great first impression by looking like the person who's actually in the role that you want. Now, this isn't just about vanity. We're very visual creatures, so if we see something, we believe it. So I believe that the person on the left is in IT and the person on the right is a lawyer, yet they're the same person. So you want the person who is sitting in front of you to be able to pitch you in that role. The reason that this is critically important is that we have a confirmation bias. We form a quick first impression and then we look for ways to affirm that impression in the way that we assess information about people. So if you don't look the part, the person in front of you has to think harder and be constantly evaluating your fit for the role. You might say something wonderful, but that might be counter to that person's first impression of you. So you're not going to be an automatic referral. So tip number 2 is all about having a great mindset for this meeting. Now, the reason I'm showing you a picture of a woman in a spacesuit is because she's actually doing a power pose with her hands on her hips. Now, doing a power pose like this actually changes your physiology. It makes you become more confident. So do a power pose with your hands on your hips for 2 minutes before you go into the meeting. And what it actually does is decreases your cortisol and increases your testosterone. So your cortisol is a stress-inducing hormone and your testosterone actually increases your courage. So if you do this, you'll instantly feel more confident going into this meeting. So tip number 3 is all about getting over imposter syndrome. Most of us suffer from imposter syndrome. That is that we think that somehow the person that you're meeting will discover that you're not worthy of being in that meeting. Now, to be honest, this isn't an easy thing to get over, and I know that this has been so crippling for some people, it's actually stopped them from reaching out to ask to meet somebody in the first place. So if it's of any help at all, I hope it helps to know that this is perfectly normal. Everybody struggles. But think of it like this. The meeting is about the other person feeling comfortable enough to relax and offer you great information. So try and take the focus off you in the informational interview. You want to focus on making the other person feel more comfortable. Tip number 4 is about being all ears. The interview isn't about you. The interview is actually about the person that you're meeting. So you need to spend most of your time asking great questions and being curious about that person. Then they'll think that you're a great person and a good listener. If you talk too much at the start of a meeting about yourself, the person that you're sitting in front of will actually wonder why they're sitting in front of you and tune out. Remember, it's actually understanding the other person that's the point of this informational interview. People help people that they like. We like people who believe in us. We like people who make us feel special. And the way that you make people feel special is by actively listening to them. And of course, if you do most of the listening and less of the talking, you're actually going to get some really great information from that person. And that information can help you in a pitch that you might want to put to them further on down the track. It might give you things that you can follow up with after the informational interview to keep the relationship going on. It will help you understand what's relevant to bring into that meeting in terms of information that you provide about yourself. So for some really great questions, remember to watch the video on informational interview questions. that I've linked to in the description below. Tip number 5 is all about timing your pitch. Now this is really important. The elevator going up or any other place that you're walking to get to that meeting isn't the place to launch into your elevator pitch. It isn't the place for you to talk about you. It's the place for building rapport with the person that you're going to meet. If you launch into your pitch at the start of this meeting, you'll put them off. You'll put them off completely. So in the elevator or wherever you're walking to go to that meeting with that person, don't recite your career history. If you've made the right impression on that person, you'll get the chance to talk about yourself at the end of the meeting when that person naturally says, "So why are you here? Tell me about yourself." And if you've asked the right questions, you can bring in information that's relevant for them to hear because you've been doing a lot of the listening. So I hope you found this video on informational interview tips to be insanely useful. If you like what you hear, please give us a thumbs up. If you like what you see and hear and you want to hear more of us, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.